Yeah, here we go again. Oh, I love that last slide. Just sitting here waiting for you guys to figure it out. I know a lot of you out there already got it figured out and you're preparing accordingly. Something I use that tagline a lot, or just end my tweets or posts or whatever with that. I always say, hope I'm wrong and prepare accordingly. I can't recall if I had played this one before, but I don't think I covered. Just real quickly, I'm going to do part 2 is what I'm jumping into here on the New World Order book that I discussed in my last episode. So we'll jump to that in a minute. But I just wanted to touch on this because it just, do people understand how long we've been under this toxic programming and how conditioned we've been to things that we don't even realize? And it would be very hard for us to see or to have somebody point it out to us and say, hey, you've been programmed by the New World Order. You've been programmed by this intense system of propaganda that's been around for decades and decades and decades. And this is just one example here. This popped into my head a while back when I saw this meme, actually. And this is like, I know a lot of people watching this probably absolutely get this one. Everybody just wants to be liked and accepted, except free thinkers. Free thinkers don't give a shit. All right? And that's where I am. Fuck you. If you don't, I walk to the beat of my own drum, and I don't mean that F you to you, the one watching it, but I mean the general world, when they try to push back on who I am or what I'm doing, fuck you. All right? Like what was it? As much as I, am not sure I trust him, but Elon Musk a couple months back when he was talking about the advertising, giving him a hard time, trying to bully him into submission to their New World Order agenda. And what did he say? Fuck off or fuck you, whatever. It's like, that's it, man. Free thinkers. Just leave me the fuck alone. Let me live my life. That's what this country was built on. Leave me the fuck alone and let me live my life. And if you don't, we're going to have issues. All right? Now, unfortunately, a lot of the populace, they're just coddled sheep, just going to their slaughter and don't even know it. But I think there's a lot of us out there that think like I do and all that. So anyway, here's the programming, okay? When I saw this, the red balloon is symbolic. Okay, it's symbolic of sort of, beauty, freedom, uniqueness, whatever. There's probably more to it, but it's a symbol because I saw. Okay, let me just read this. Okay, when I was a kid, 3rd or 4th grade, one day in school we watched a short film called The Red Balloon. It was about a little boy in France, I think, that found a red balloon and started carrying it around with him. This bright red balloon soon attracted a lot of attention to him. The other kids went after him and were trying to pop the balloon to destroy it. They went after him mercilessly, and he instinctively fought them and tried to protect that little red balloon. He ran and he ran to get away from them, but they would not relent. If I recall, they kept throwing rocks at it until it began to deflate and descend toward the ground, slowly shriveling up, but still just barely laying there, all but dead. That was the story. And obviously at the time, I had absolutely no clue what it meant. But as an adult, it's pretty clear to see that it was about conforming to the crowd. Anything that does not conform, any creativity or light that shines out of you must be extinguished. That was in the late 60s. They've been programming us to be their servile slaves for a long time. Funny thing is, for whatever reason, it didn't work on me, and I've walked my own path my entire life. Sometimes it's a blessing, sometimes it's a curse. But I know I will never, ever submit or conform to the nightmare future our overlords are pushing us towards. Never comply, never submit, never accept their lies and their many deceptions. Never. Your soul is at stake, and we must never surrender it to these bastards. So, in the late 60s, in 3rd or 4th grade, it was like a 15-minute short film. And the whole thing was this kid finds a balloon, and the other school kids are chasing him through the whole thing, and they eventually destroy it. Why would they? I mean, as an adult, it's obvious, right? But that's the kind of subtle programming that they've put in us, and all the TV shows, all of it. I mean, we have been programmed. And so breaking the conditioning, like I've said before, is not necessarily an easy process. It can take years to, it took me years to adjust to 9/11 being an inside job. Seriously, I didn't want to believe it. I heard it, and I heard it, and I heard it, and I was like, it just can't be. Our government can't be this evil. And that was before I knew about any of this evil that they were and are definitely capable of and have been, perpetuating for a long, long time. You name it, wars, all of it. So anyway, just wanted to touch on that. That was then. We've been under it our whole lives. It's very important to break the conditioning, and videos like this where I'm bringing information about what they're saying and what they're intending in their own words, hopefully can help some of that. I mean, that's the whole point, right? Try to help inform and enlighten, or just add to what you already know, right? Okay, let's see. Where are we going here? All right, let's jump in. Okay, in part one, I went through the introduction, and that was mostly just person after person after person of note saying that the New World Order is coming. These are people that are in high positions of authority, politics, government, culture, you name it, to help get the point that they're out there, they're telling us. And to not believe it is just an unbelievable, mind control operation. I mean, it's just stunning to see how resistant people are to this. So let's jump in. I'm going to touch on kind of the last part of part one, and then we'll jump into part two, okay? So we're talking about the New World Order. Ralph Epperson, I believe, 1991, the book was released. I think I've got, there's the kind of a cover there. All right, so the old world order will be destroyed piece by piece by a series of planned nibbles at the established format, which I mentioned, we're going through it right now. They're piece by piece, just whittling away. One little piece on its own doesn't look like much, but it's a giant puzzle that they're picking apart piece by piece, and eventually the whole thing's going to collapse, and we're going to be in such unbelievable chaos that people are going to be shocked, and they're not going to know how we got there. But they're doing it one day at a time, one piece at a time, one little seemingly random, insignificant event at a time. Right. The Communist Party is actively supporting the changes to the New World Order. The basic tenets of Christianity, which were the base for the old world order, will have to be eliminated. If the slower, methodical techniques of change do not function, violence will be introduced and controlled by the planners. The change to the New World Order is coming shortly. So I think we're in this phase here where the nudging part we're reaching the end of, and we're kind of phasing into the more violent part, and we're going to see more and more of that in the future. Look at that document, Operation Lockstep. I don't know if I've covered it in any videos, where they know that the world is going to be angrier and they're going to get more pushback, and they flat out say they're prepared for it. And so they're ready. Whatever humanity tries to do to stop them, they're ready for it. And that's why they're so confident. All right, so we're going to dive in now, chapter 1, tomorrow's rulers. This, I believe, this highlighted, some of this came out of the book. Let's see. Oh, I'm going to have to pull it up. Hold on here. Bear with me. All right, so on page 2. Okay, it's a little bit later, so I'm just going to jump right in here. Okay, so, and I'm going to be jumping around a little bit. I'm not reading this whole damn thing. But there's a lot of highlights. And so it's just kind of give you bullet point after bullet point after bullet point. And then if you want to read all the fluff around it, you know where to find it. It's out there. All right, so Norman Cousins, president of the World Federalist Society, he's on record saying world government is coming. In fact, it is inevitable. No arguments for it or against it can change that fact. So you see, they're confident. They're absolutely confident, and they're absolutely certain that they've got everything in place. And so a lot of that, we don't see unless you do the research and you understand the advanced technology and the potential of what they could, robot armies, robot dogs, robot everything, drones, bioweapons, all the way up to the nukes. So they've amassed quite a formidable arsenal against us. All right, goal of one world government is not a new thought. One of the earliest formal organizations that supported the concept of that goal was the Illuminati, founded on May 1st, 1776 by Adam Weishaupt, which we all know that it's debated. Did this actually happen? Maybe not, maybe so. So again, take all this. Just because we're taking this in doesn't mean we're just blindly following everything and believing every word. You take it in, you consider it, you do your own research, and you decide. You decide what you think about all this, but it's out there, here it is, and we're going to cover it. And then what you do with it, like each person, it's just up to you. But I'm going to say it, I'm going to speak it, I'm going to read it, I'm going to put it out there and give my 2 cents. All right, so Professor Weishaupt is quoted as saying, "It is necessary to establish a universal regime and empire over the whole world. A more modern organization that supports the coming changes in the Masonic order, called simply the Freemasons or the Masons, they too support a call for a one world government. Behind the lodge door, Masonry will eventually rule the world. Albert Pike, the sovereign Grand Commander of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry here in the United States from 1850 to 1891, wrote a book entitled Morals and Dogma. And is a mystic, symbolist, a teacher of the hidden truths of Freemasonry." Okay, we're going to jump ahead to page 9 here. Here's the one where, so there's this book called The Hidden Dangers of the Rainbow by, what's her first name? Helen Cumby. Anyway, haven't read the book, but I am aware of it and I have a copy of it. So she's saying basically that the new system is going to be a universal credit card system. Yeah. What is it? The CBDC? So it's the same principle. A world food authority who's buying up all the farmland. Universal tax, universal draft, and funny, we've been hearing talk of that, right? I mean, they're just subtly rolling all these little things out, hoping nobody notices. And sadly, a lot of people don't. They don't notice it as following a grand plan. They intend on utterly rooting out people who believe the Bible and worship God, and to completely stamp out Christianity. They see the Catholic Church as an enemy. They also see all of Christianity as an enemy. Whatever the New Agers believe in, it appears to be growing in popularity. All right, and this New Age movement is really the transhumanist, secular humanist movement, and they've really doctored it up, cleaned it up, dressed it up to look all cool and spiritual and hip, and everybody's like, oh, I'm not religious, but I am spiritual, and they're all New Agers, and they made it so cool, and it's really not cool. And I've covered the secular humanist agenda a little bit in the law enforcement infiltrated by secular humanism. So it's out there and it's been growing, and that's what this is saying here. It's growing in popularity. People are just soaking it up. So whatever they believe in, many believe in it. Okay, so it's a book written by Miss Cumby in her book entitled The Hidden Dangers of the Rainbow. She wrote that they had the intent of bringing about a new world order, an order that writes God out of the picture and deifies Lucifer. I think I pulled this book up. Yeah, so Constance Cumby. Yeah, no, not Helen. Hidden Dangers of the Rainbow. And this is really, I think that this talks about, rainbow, you know what that is. And how they're kind of using that, same way they're using the black community to just, their levels of manipulation are unbelievable. So on one side you got the black community, they're weaponizing against capitalism and Christianity and humanity. And the other side you've got this, so L whatever, all the letters that they're weaponizing against culture and, Christians and everything good and the Bible. And it's like they're armies. It's unbelievable. They put all this together and most people don't even see it. All right, so that's page 9. Let's move on. We're at page 11. Today, these cornerstones, I think page 10 is talking about how, so the cornerstones of American traditional culture that were once in place, do you all realize how much they've been eroded? It's just, they're gone, and they're even now talking about, should we even have any of these rights? I mean, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, all of that. They're purging our culture of everything God-based and natural rights-based, and they're replacing it with this do what thou will satanic garbage. That's what all this is. Okay, so today these cornerstones of American life are no longer self-evident. They are being publicly discussed. People and organizations are now debating whether an individual has the basic human rights to life, liberty, and property. And you see it in so many places. All right, so the New Age, like the Masons, feel that Christianity is the enemy, a force to be countered, not by open debate, but by contempt and ridicule, and as shall be illustrated later, by even murder. Okay, there's something that popped into my head a few weeks ago, and I'm old enough to remember it, although I don't remember it well, but I remember it was a huge turning point or inflection point or whatever you want to call it in American culture. When this happened, our culture was never the same after. And it really was the coming out of the anti-Christian, pro, just gay, all of that. This is where it really started. And when they came out and just said, we're in your face and there's nothing you can do about it. And for those of you who are old enough, do you remember I think 1977, Anita Bryant, and this had never happened before in our civil society. Okay, this was just unheard of. But she was a well-known person, I think, in the music industry. I think she was a popular singer. I don't know that much, but so everybody knew who she was, but she was very Christian. And she really stood up for Christian values and beliefs. Well, when you do that, you're a hateful, anti-gay, homophobic, fill in the blanks, whatever. Nowadays, let me think about it. But back then, a lot of that hadn't been solidified in our culture yet. And this was them punching the door down and saying, we're here. And if you remember, here, I pulled this up. She was just given up. She got a microphone here, and somebody just came up and just smashed her in the face. And look at this, October 14th, 1977. Okay, yeah. Friendly reminder, if somebody is working to deny your humanity and civil rights, you don't have to be nice to them. So if you stand for Christian values and, marriage and relationships are between a man and a woman, you're denying someone their humanity and civil rights, and they don't have to be nice to you. And to me, this was it. This was an inflection point of our culture. And they kicked the door in. They've been screaming ever since. And look at where they are. Look at because what they were screaming about was we want tolerance, right? They wanted us to tolerate. They wanted inclusion. They wanted us to include them. They got all that. And now look where we are. They want to fucking kill us, okay? That's what our tolerance has gotten. Realize that. They hate us. They despise us. They can't stand that we're walking the face of this earth, and they want us fucking dead. Do you realize that? That's how serious it is. That's where we are. That's how serious they are. People need to just get that loud and clear. And that's the direction all this is going. So prepare. Like I said, prepare accordingly. All right, let's see. Christianity, okay, page 11. Let's see where we jump to here. All right, page 12. In fact, an anti-socialist, Christianity is the antithesis of socialism. Sure. So the socialist, the New Ager, and the Mason have declared war on the Christians. And as in every war, the enemy must be defeated, even by bloodshed if necessary. This war is no different. Bloodshed is anticipated by all parties in the battle. So they're just saying it. And now they're even getting more bold with it. And I think I might have mentioned this in a previous episode. I mean, I wrote probably 15 years ago on my blog, I can't find it, that someday they're going to be kicking the doors in of Christians, the law, or whatever that looks like then, and dragging Christians away, and your neighbors will be applauding it. And at the time, it sounded completely insane, but we're headed there. If you don't see it, I mean, it's so obvious. It's so obvious they're following the sort of the Hitler propaganda, just demonization with anybody that's, like I've said before, to the right of basically Satan. No longer Mao. I used to say that. Now it's if you're to the right of Satan. If you don't openly worship Satan and all the debauchery that stands for, you need to die. That's kind of where we're at. They just haven't acted on it in too great of force yet. All right, so if they will not accept the New Age religion, they will go on to the other world. So they're just being really nice about it. Oh, they're talking about murder, but they're saying, oh, you're just going to go to the next phase of existence. No, they're going to kill you. All right, there has not been and there will not be a place for the unfit, apparently the Christians. So we're unfit because we don't agree with their way of life. In the age of enlightenment, there is no place for ignorant people. So you're ignorant because you don't agree with their way of life. Non-existence of the unfit has been the law of nature. Isn't that crazy? Non-existence of the unfit is the law of nature. So now they're invoking natural law. Who's unfit in this scenario if you're under natural law? This is gobbledygook, gaslighting, mind control, mind fuckery. And it's scary because they might actually believe it. People writing this might actually believe what they just said. It's absolutely insane. Another example of New Age thinking on this vital issue came from a pamphlet available in a bookstore. selling New Age material. Published by something called the Guardian Action Publications in New Mexico. It was entitled Cosmic Countdown. It alleged that it had received these thoughts from something called higher intelligence, and it directed its attention to the hunger disease problem in the third world. That's, higher intelligence, sure. The world should be forewarned to be on the lookout for diseases which have been suppressed for years, suddenly rearing their ugly heads and decimating populations already on the verge of starvation in the third world nations. Although these peoples will eventually be replaced by the new root race about to make its appearance? The hell? In a newly cleansed world, nevertheless, for the moment, this is a tragedy. The new root race that is about to make its appearance. All right, this was 1991. What the hell are they talking about, folks? It's just... All right, so it gets better. Those who survive the shift will be a different type of people from those in physical form today. Freed from strife and hatred, longing to be of service to the whole of mankind. See, this is just, it's unbelievable. Ignorance, stupidity, gaslighting, whatever, to think with what human nature is, that is even remotely a possible reality. And in their world it is, because they will kill anybody that shows any sign of any aggression or nonconformance with this. You will be docile and you will be compliant, or you will be executed. How does that sound like natural law? They're just insane. These people are clinically insane, and they have a ton of power. And they've written tons of books about this stuff. I'm just scratching the surface of all the publications there are out there, and of the words that they've said and what they intend to do. It's just insane. All right. The souls who help to bring on the chaos of the present century, apparently the Christians and the Jews, will have passed into spirit to rethink their attitudes. So, just... What is this? Was it Ruth Montgomery? Oh, man. Oh, it just blows my mind. To show that the New Agers are talking about the physical death of the enemy, one must only search the writings of other New Agers. Okay, here's another one. So Ruth Montgomery. She has been quoted as saying in a transcribed interview carried by a magazine called Magical Blend. Oh, they're just also just peace and love. Magical blend. Just all going to get along. Millions will survive and millions won't. Those who won't will go into the spirit state because there is truly no death. Yeah, isn't that just great? All right, estimates, number to perish, made by New Agers. Let's see, it was quoted by Tex Mars in his book about the New Agers. Let's see if we go on to the next. Nope, we're on page 15. All right, choices. Do you wish to become a natural Christ, a universal human, or do you wish to die? So this is just twisted. Natural Christ? So the people that survive and live in this satanic, demonic New World Order are going to be natural Christ, universal humans? So the people of the world will be given a choice. They will choose to accept the new religion, or they will choose to die. Battle lines are drawn. Choices will have to be made. Some of the leading socialists of the past have shown that they too have chosen up sides. One such individual is Adolf Hitler. He considered himself to be an agent of this unseen God in reducing the population of people that he had held to be undesirable. He wrote, "I have the right to exterminate millions of individuals of inferior races which multiply like vermin." And you know, he thought that about the people that he held in that regard, the same way these ruling class elite demons regard us. We're vermin to them. They despise and detest us, and they can't wait to purge the planet of us. And he did what he considered acceptable inside his religion. Those who did not believe in his new religion had no choice, and they perished. Another of the leading spokesmen for the socialist position was George Bernard Shaw, a well-known writer during his day. He wrote a book entitled The Intelligent Woman's Guide to Socialism, in which he stated, this is just, I don't know if I can read it without just laughing, because it's just so insane. I also made it quite clear that socialism means equality of income or nothing. And under socialism, you would not be allowed to be poor. Now, George Bernard Shaw is a well-known name of supposedly high intellectual standing. And he wrote that. You will be forced, you won't be allowed to be poor under socialism. No. We all know it doesn't work. It's the equal suffering of everybody. And here, it gets worse. You would be forcibly fed, clothed, lodged, taught, and employed whether you like it or not. If it were discovered that you had not the character and industry enough to be worth all this trouble, you might be executed, there it is, in a kindly manner. But whilst you were permitted to live, you will have to live well. So our overlords are the ones that get to decide if we're going to be permitted to live based on our compliance with the employment and the teaching and the clothing and the lodging and all of that they're going to force on us so that we're not poor. This is insane. Okay? This is insane. These people are insane. We have got to stop them from implementing this program. Humanity has to wake up and stop this. Because I think they believe it. And I've discussed it in other episodes, that if you don't comply, you will be executed. That's how they're going to create world peace. They're going to create world peace by killing everybody that doesn't submit. And so what does that turn humanity into? I mean, it's just, they're out of control. This is so psychotic and against everything that human nature stands for and is capable of. These people are out of control and they need to be stopped. But they're still writing about this stuff. There's tons of publications, so we'll just keep on reading. All right. So Albert Pike, often one man and many men must be sacrificed in the ordinary sense of the term to the interest of the many. Yes, right. For the greater good. That was Mao's Great Leap Forward, for the greater good. We're just going to kill 60, 70, 80 million or so, some by the hands of their own children, and it's for the greater good. Yeah. They'd still be living in huts and impoverished had the ruling class, New World Order elite, not focused all of their time and attention and investment and resources into building them up into what they are today, while simultaneously reducing us. That's how China became what China is today. Had they not done that, had they stayed invested in America and all that America could be, this country would be amazing right now. But we're imploding. We're dying, we're decaying, it's because we've been abandoned by the best and the brightest on the planet. And in fact, not just abandoned, they've turned all of their resources against us. So we'll see how that plays out. The religious view is that the sacrifice of one life for the interest of many is murder, and those who believe in the God of the Bible are told not to commit the sacrifice. Right, because we have absolute morals, not do what thou wilt, or situational ethics, which is what they intend for us to live under. Some Bible quotes there. Adam Weishaupt, founder of the Illuminati, has also endorsed this new conviction that murder was not improper by including it in the initiation ceremony into the order. He has his initiator tell the initiate, behold our secret, if in order to destroy all Christianity, all religion, so they're not going to peacefully coexist, they're going to destroy it. You see that happening. We have pretended to have the sole true religion. Pretended to have it? Do they have it, or are they pretending? Do they know this is all just a ruse? And they're full of crap. Remember that the end justifies the means, there it is, and that the wise ought to take all the means to do good, which the wicked take to do evil. Man, it's just an inversion of reality. These people are unbelievable. All right, the initiate was told that he may use whatever means, murder included, to achieve the goal of the association that he was joining, and that the major goal of the Illuminati was the destruction of all religion, including Christianity. That meant that if Christians physically stood in the way, they could be removed by simply murdering them. Weishaupt even went so far as to say that anyone not willing to take the life of another was unfit to join the Illuminati. He wrote the following in a letter to a fellow member in 1778. No man is fit for our order who is not ready to go to every length. So it kind of shows, it's been around for a long time, this mindset. Weishaupt was aware of the enormous power of government, and he desired its power for his members. He committed his organization to its infiltration. Then he committed it to unspeakable purposes, anything that would further the goal of the Illuminati. He even went on to grant permission to his members to distort the truth by lying if it would further their goals. Situational ethics. He wrote, there must not a single purpose ever come in sight that may betray our aims against religion and the state. I mean, they're single-mindedly focused to destroy Christianity. I mean, this is just pretty clear. One must speak sometimes one way and sometimes another, but so as never to contradict ourselves, and so that with respect to our true way of thinking, we may be impenetrable. Perhaps a perfect example of an oath that these initiates take somewhere along the road to the pinnacle inside the secret society was given in a book written by George Orwell, titled 1984. Mr. Orwell has an initiate into a secret society called the Brotherhood. In his story, asked these questions. Are you prepared to give your life? Are you prepared to commit murder? Are you prepared to commit acts of sabotage which may cause the death of hundreds of innocent people? So if you got to take down an airplane, a commercial airline, to kill one guy in order to get the patent so that you can control that particular technology, no problem. That's just an example, but might have happened a time or two already. Are you prepared to betray your country to foreign powers? Look at our government. Done. Are you prepared to cheat, to forge, to blackmail, to corrupt the minds of children? Done. To distribute habit-forming drugs? Done. To encourage prostitution? To disseminate venereal diseases? To do anything which is likely to cause demoralization and weaken the power of the people? And see, this is why I read this stuff. Every single point there, we are living today. We are there. It's not coming. We're there. And it's been a conscious effort. It's not just some random evolution of societies and cultures. It's a hidden hand. It's an invisible force inflicting its will. It's incredible, powerful will on all of humanity. And people just can't wrap their minds around it. Well, here it is. They're telling you. This is an example of the philosophy that the ends justify the means. And this should do as he was required as long as the act benefited the brotherhood. There is no morality under such an oath. So murder of the unfit, those unwilling to adopt the new religion, will be acceptable. And those who do the annihilating are to feel no remorse. The time cometh that whosoever killeth you will think that he doeth God service. That's the mind. That's the gaslighting. That's the mind control. The new world order will sail in on a sea of blood. Ain't that the truth, man? Look where they're dragging us to. And it's coming. Let's see, 18. Let's see where we're at. Okay, we're going to jump ahead a little bit. Chapter 6, Concealed Mysteries. How long have we been going? Okay, we're go a little bit further here. All right. Let's see. Sorcery is certainly not a part of the Christian religion. A little typo there. Look at that. It is possible to know that nothing that Jesus said has been hidden from the Christians. He told the high priest in John 18:20, and in secret have I said nothing. So this is all concealed. I've covered that before. 25-point plan to conquer humanity. I think it was step 6 or point 6. You must remain in absolute secrecy until that moment we have amassed the power needed to destroy and to implement our will, as we're planning here. That's basically the same thing. Everything's concealed until they don't need to. And they're starting to come out. I've mentioned that before. The intentional concealing of an organization's beliefs and purposes by the use of hidden language and concealed symbols is reserved primarily to the secret societies, and the nationwide Masonic lodges are indeed a secret society. The Masons know that they must conceal their horrible secret from the people, even most of the Masons at the lower levels. That secret is simply the fact that certain of their members worship Lucifer. That's what it is. All right, jump ahead to 64, Lucifer worship. We're going to wrap it up here in a few minutes. All right, so we're talking about Albert Pike here. If Lucifer were not God, would Adonai, the God of the Christians and the Jews, and his priests calumniate, defining as spreading false and harmful statements about or to slander him. Pike makes two incredible statements about Lucifer. He is considered to be a god, and the priests and the rabbis have it all backwards and are all slandering his name. Whew, wild. As has been illustrated, the Bible states that Lucifer is nothing more than a fallen cherub. He is not a god, yet Mr. Pike clearly states that Lucifer is a god. Secondly, those who claim that he is the wicked one are slandering him. Those individuals have it all wrong. Mr. Pike continued, the true and pure philosophic religion is the belief in Lucifer, the equal of Adonai. I think I'm saying that right. Adonai, also spelled Adonai, is the Hebrew word for God. To show that Pike was referring to the God of the Bible, he wrote this in his book entitled Morals and Dogma, Adonai, the rival of Baal and Osiris. As has been illustrated, Osiris is the sun god, and the sun has been shown to be a symbol of Lucifer. Adonai is the rival of Lucifer, both in the Bible and in the writings of Albert Pike. But Lucifer, god of light and god of good, is struggling for humanity against Adonai, the god of darkness and evil. There you go. He's got it all backwards. Either that or we do. But I'll put my money on us and not him, okay? Not this garbage. Here, once again, Mr. Pike writes that Lucifer and Adonai are rivals and that the religious world has it all backwards. Seething energies of Lucifer are in his hands, and before he may step onward and upward, he must prove his ability to properly apply energy. All right, the evil one is the satanic revolt against the divine authority, a revolt in which we see the fecund, defined as meaning fertile, germ of all human emancipations, the revolution. Socialists recognize each other by the words, in the name of the one to whom a great wrong has been done. Satan is the eternal rebel, the first free thinker and the emancipator of worlds. Or as Saul Alinsky dedicated his book, Rules for Radicals, to Lucifer as the one who rebelled so well against God that he was given his own kingdom here on earth. So, yeah, for what that's worth. All right. That thought that Lucifer was a good spirit to whom a great wrong was done is the basic thought that holds the New Age together. According to Tex Mars, the author of 2 major books on the subject, he has written, many New Agers commend Lucifer because by tempting Eve, he enabled man to evolve toward enlightened knowledge and godhood. Oh, man. Mr. Mars discusses the thoughts of a leader in a mystical organization called the Stell Group named Iqbal Kushana. He writes that this New Age leader says that Lucifer is the head of a secret brotherhood of spirits. The brotherhood is named after Lucifer because the great angel, Lucifer, has been responsible for the abolishment of Eden in order that men could begin on the road to spiritual advancement. So, there is a basic disagreement about the nature of Lucifer, also known as Satan or the devil. Okay, but the connection between Lucifer and the ancient mysteries needs to be further amplified. And man, lately I've been listening to a lot of, watching a lot of videos about the ancient religions, all of that predates, it just goes way back. And it's eye-opening. And, going back to just the beginning of time where, and this sun worship thing and the names of their gods and all that, this stuff was pretty well entrenched before Jesus came along. And some of this, that I'm watching and listening to, there's some controversy there. So I won't go into any of that. Maybe I'll do an episode on it down the road. But this this pagan religious stuff is big, and that's where a lot of their New Age stuff comes from. And there's a lot more out there even in our daily culture than we realize. Again, another subject for another episode. The mysteries had a purpose, to create a Superman, one capable of understanding the true nature of the universe and to worship the true God. W.L. Wilmshurst, a Mason, wrote these thoughts in his book entitled The Meaning of Masonry. This, the evolution of man into Superman, was always the purpose of the ancient mysteries. And the real purpose of modern Masonry is not the social and charitable purposes to which so much attention is paid, but the evolution of those who aspire to perfect their own nature and transform it into more godlike quality. And you're starting to see more of that talk. I mean, look at Klaus Schwab and his little mini-me, that Harari dude. And they openly say that they're evolving to where that humans can eventually be like gods. And Harari didn't just make that up or just have this epiphany, one day. This is their education. They're educated into these ancient mysteries and these ancient religions, and those are their roadmaps, not Christianity and the Bible and Jesus Christ. So we're at real odds. It's two different operating systems. And they're pushing ours out, and they're getting ready to slam theirs down and just lay it out, whether we like it or not. He amplified this thought a little later in his book. Let's just jump ahead a little bit. So just as Satan tempted mankind with the ability to know good and evil themselves, just like God, without his assistance, now the Masons are teaching that they too could become a god through an initiation into the ancient mysteries. John Anthony West, in his book Serpent in the Sky, wrote this in support of Mr. Wilmshurst's statements. Egypt started with the concept of divine attributes within man. The gods are not brought down to earth, rather man is raised to the gods. All right, we'll probably stop here after this one, since we're coming to the end of a chapter. Not only was this New Age evangelist making money on her personal lecture tours, she was also making money on her best-selling books. Her book entitled Out on a Limb had sold 3 million copies. Her other major bestseller, Dancing in the Light. What are we talking about here? Did I miss something? 68, 69. Oh, 73. Okay, so I skipped a page. So I was talking about an author of a book that made a lot of money. All right, another one of these New Age wackos. But people are gobbling it up. But in summary, perhaps the most cogent comment about the battle between the New Age and the Christians was made by Nesta Webster in her book entitled Secret Societies. And I think that book goes back a ways. So, like I've said many times, they've been writing about this stuff for a long time. The war now begins between the two, excuse me, the two contending principles, the Christian conception of man reaching up to God, big G, and the secret society, Miss Webster wrote too early for her to know about the New Age movement, conception of man as God. It should not be a big G. Needing no revelation from on high and no guidance but the law of his own nature. Man, you talk about a recipe for disaster. And since that nature is in itself divine, with a touch of evil, but they don't want to admit that, all that springs from it is praiseworthy. All, so mass murderers, psychopaths, serial killers, crazy, whatever, that's all praiseworthy. All that springs from it is praiseworthy. They love evil. And those acts, usually regarded as sins, are not to be condemned. Oh, there you go. The battle lines are drawn between those who believe in a creator God and those who believe that man can become God. These are the two opposing positions, and the battle between them has begun. We're going to leave it at that, but I think that's a excellent kind of synthesis of where they said we're going and where we are today. Referring back to the Harari and all of the talk, the brain chips, the technology, the advanced AI. They're doing it, folks. They've written about it. They've talked about it. They get up and tell speeches, give speeches about it to an audience of people that just lap it up, and I don't get it. I don't get what they're thinking. I've never been in those circles or in any of those speeches, but I've watched them, and everybody that's there seems to be on the same page, and it's not the page we want to be on. So that's part 2. We're at page 73, so I'll do a part 3 at some point too. Hopefully, you all got something out of that. Sorry to just jump around, but for me, it's just pounding these points in and try to cover as much as I can without being too surface level. I like to get in and read some of the details and just really drill down on it. But it can take a while, to get through all the content, but hopefully it's meaningful, getting something out of it, and you'll tune in next time. All right? So until then, see you later.